Hello everyone, Chris Appling here. We're going to work on some short game shots today, two different shots that you can use depending on what situation you face out on the course. We're going to hit a low chip or bump and run shot, one that doesn't carry very far but has roll after, and then we'll also work on a higher pitch or a flop shot. Again, depending on what situation you face on the golf course. So first we're going to talk about the low chip or bump and run shot. I'm going to pull a lower lofted club, so I have an 8-iron here. In regards to setup, I'm going to move the ball position back in my stance. So I'm going to set up with my 8-iron. Golf ball's going to be back towards kind of my back foot there, and that's going to keep the ball low and get it rolling. As you can see in my setup here, that's going to set my hands a little bit ahead of the club head on the ball, and that's great. We're actually going to keep that throughout the swing. The swing we're going to use for these low bump and run shots is almost like a putting stroke. There's not a lot of wrist hinge, not a lot of movement, so it's a simple and repeatable shot. So again, lower lofted club, golf ball back in my stance, hands are forward, and I'm going to keep them there throughout the swing. So I'm going to make a lot of little swings here for you, showing I'm keeping my hands ahead, keeping that loft low, and keeping the ball low that's going to land and then release afterwards. So a situation where you might use that like I have right here, I'm just off the green, but I'm not close enough to where I want to putt, so I'm going to hit a little chip shot and let it run out to the pin. So again, I've got a lower lofted club, it's back in my stance, I'm keeping my hands forward, and I'm using a putting stroke that's a very simple and repeatable shot. Okay, so low lofted club, kept the ball down, but I still was able to carry it onto the green and then had the ball release the rest of the way. So very repeatable. If you don't have that option, let's say we had a bunker right here, or we had a big mound that we didn't want to deal with, then we'd have to go to that higher pitch shot or lob shot. So I'm going to pull a higher lofted club. I've got my lob wedge here. I'm going to make a ball position adjustment. Now that's the opposite of the last shot I hit, so I'm going to move the ball position forward in my stance, just forward of center, and that's going to help me keep the loft of the club, and it's also going to help me expose the bounce of the club, and we'll talk about bounce in another session. As far as the swing is concerned, I'm going to have a slightly longer swing. It's going to have some wrist hinge, it's going to have some movement to it, because the higher lofted club, I need a little bit more speed to get the distance. And one of the things that I'm going to do on the follow through is I'm actually going to try to keep that club face open. Okay, so where the face is still pointed up towards the sky. That's going to keep the bounce exposed and let me effectively use the loft of the club. Okay, so higher lofted club, ball position now goes forward. I make a longer swing and I try to keep that club face open after impact onto my follow through. So that would look like this. Again, if we do miss the green and we're a little far away to putt, we can use the bump and run shot. So lower lofted club, ball back in the stance, hand slightly forward, and we use something very similar to a putting stroke. It's very simple, very repeatable. If we're in a situation where we have some trouble that we need to carry or clear and we don't have a lot of green to work with, a bunker or a mound, something like that, higher lofted club, ball forward in the stance, and then a slightly longer swing with a little wrist hinge, and maintaining an open club face after impact to help us use the loft and expose the bounce. And like I said, we're going to talk about bounce in one of the other sessions. So work on these, and we look forward to seeing you on the course soon.